Hello, welcome to the Union Pacific Railroad Geneva Subdivision. My name is Daryl Cruz, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for episode 4 of season 2020, which is continuing work in Rochelle, especially around the Railroad Park area. I have about half of Rochelle done up to the crossing, and now I've been spending some time and will continue to spend some time getting Rochelle itself around the Railroad Park finished up. And as you can see, I have been using the Woodland Scenics Smooth It system, using their paving strips to set the form for the roads and then pouring in the plaster for the road itself. As you can see, I did the First Avenue section first, and then here we have the 9th Street going across both main lines, the Railroad Park parking lot, and then a little bit of 10th Street there north of the tracks. Now after putting all the plaster in, there's some sanding to be done. I'm not going to show the sanding. It's probably the messiest part of the whole process. As you can see here, the plaster is pretty rough. Once it dries, after about 24 hours, then you go with some sandpaper and sand it smooth. And as I said, it can be kind of a messy proposition. Have to have a good vacuum with a good filter so that the little fine dust doesn't go all into the atmosphere. Here you can see it to the point where I sanded it and then painted it with a very light gray paint. So it's been all smoothed out. I've also cleared out the flangeways in the crossing. You can see I have some supplies there ready to go for doing some more work. Once it's been painted, one thing I like to do is to go ahead and do some sanding. I use 120 grit sandpaper, and I basically just tear off a strip of the paper and fold it and then get to work on sanding. Don't want to do too hard because then it'll end up taking all the paint off and you have white showing through. Then also I'll be using some polystyrene striping or strips to put in the curbing, and these are 0.03 by 0.04. Now generally in the United States, curbs are 6 inches, and 0.03 comes out to like 4 less than 5 inches. For the sidewalks, I'm using some styrene sidewalk material that comes in these little grids, and you just snap off one roll of it and that becomes your sidewalk. A very easy way to do sidewalks. Back to the polystyrene strips, 0.03 by 0.04. 0.03 comes out to be 4.8 inches. And 0.4 comes out to be almost 7 inches. So I use 0.03 by 0.04, and it comes out, the 0.03 is going to be the height of the curb. So it's a little short of what it normally is, but there are curbs out there that are less than 6 inches, so I think it comes out to be pretty good. I cannot find any 0.035, which would be the closest, but here you can see sanding the paint. I use the Woodland Scenics paint. It comes in either black or concrete, and I usually mix the two to come out with a shade of gray that looks like a faded asphalt road, which you can see here. So you basically just sand it good down. It kind of gives it more of a weathered look, and then vacuum it up. As I kind of mentioned a little bit, it's really important to have a vacuum that's got a good filter. The paint's not too bad, but when you sand the plaster, the powder is very fine, and if you don't have a good filter, when you vacuum it up, it ends up going into the atmosphere and then settling on the tracks, and you end up having a cleanup problem on your track. So as you can see, it kind of roughed it up a little bit, help it to be a little of a weathered look to it. Hey, now I'm going to go ahead and put the curbing on, and I basically just glue the strips onto the edge of the road. So we're going to go ahead and run the, if you notice I put a bit of super glue on this piece of styrene, and I just run the strip through it so that you get some glue on the whole entire strip. And then very carefully, hopefully without getting any on your fingers, you set it down on one end. I usually try to not have any glue on the end, so that's where my fingers go, and I just kind of lay it down, hold it there for a little bit while the glue dries, and then set it down. This is a fast setting glue, so it sets in about 5 seconds or so. Definitely by 10 seconds. So there you have a strip glued onto there. The trick of doing this is not getting anything on your finger or fingers. Super glue will stick to just about anything, but the thing it sticks to the best is your fingers. All right, here we have the second strip going down, and the trick here now is curving the strip around the corner. And it takes usually a couple of tries, but once you lay it down and the super glue holds. When I did this strip, I didn't put glue on the whole length of the strip because it was going around the corner needed to be kind of done a little bit at a time, and I knew it was going to take a little longer. So this way we have a fresh glue on each part as we glue it around the corner. Okay, then we go ahead and cut the edge off, and we have the curbing going around the corner. And this, we get a little bit better view from this one. Again, I have some glue on the strip, and not on the entire strip, but on that first part there. And then kind of bend it around the corner. And hold it down for a few seconds. And then we can add some more glue to glue down the rest of the strip. Now, I got some glue on the road as I was doing this, but that was easily taken care of by just sanding it a little bit more. And everything was fine again. Also sand a little bit around the corner to get any excess glue off of there as well. All right, once the curbing is down, then the way that curbs are done in the United States, the curb actually is goes into the road a little bit. So you have a horizontal part of the curb, and then it goes up for the actual curb. So what I'm going to be doing here is putting some tape down, and it's going to be 1/16 of an inch away from the curb, so that the cement part of the curb will extend about 8 to 10 inches into the road. All right, here's a picture of normal curbing in the United States, and you can see part of it is in the road, and then the other part of it is the actual curb. Now what I'm doing here is putting some spacers down. I'm using Lino tape here, and the tape I'm using is 1/16 of an inch in width. So I'm just taking little pieces of it and kind of gluing it next to the curb, or it's not gluing it, I'm just kind of setting it down next to the curb, and as I put the actual tape down, the mask to mask the road, I'll use little bits of tape as a guide for putting the tape down so that it's consistently the right distance away from the actual curb. And this is real important, especially as you go around the corners. So doing the straightaway is pretty easy, but then when you get to the curve, and the little spacers help to as a guide as you put the tape around the corner. Now it's important to have the spacers along the straightaway too, because hard as you try, you're not going to get at least I have not been able to get the curb exactly straight. So this way it's consistently the right distance away. All right, once the tape is all down, then I just go ahead and use a brush and carefully brush on the paint onto both the curb and then the little part of the road for the entire curbing concrete. Now, of course, you do need to remove the spacers before actually applying the paint. But the paint does go down pretty smoothly and pretty easily. And any paint that you happen to get past the tape and onto the road is pretty easily touched up with gray paint. So that's usually not too much of an issue. Sometimes also when you take the tape back up again, you might get some of the gray paint coming up and you'll have some white showing through. Here you can see I'm removing some spacers before continuing to paint. Okay, so here we're painting around the corner. Got a little piece of spacer there. There I'm painting the back of the curb. So once the curb and cement areas is painted, then you have the entire curb here. You can see I've done all of the curbing here along First Street. And then the next part then is to actually putting down some stripes onto the road. And this will be the end of this video. I think it's already about 15 minutes in length, so we'll go ahead and end it here. And the road striping and the crossing will be part of the next video. It'll include striping the road with tape, using BLMA crossings to do the crossing across the BNSF main line there, and then we'll also do some railroad crossing markings on the road as well. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, have fun with the greatest hobby in the world, model trains, especially in N scale. Have a great day. Take care.